welcome everyone. Let's talk a little bit about this funding that's going on in the NFT space. This struck me yesterday. I was trying to work through a business plan for a venture that I'm involved with that has access to anime artists. And I started looking at the ways that all of these NFT drops have happened, many of them on the Clubhouse. And it seems that we're tracking at about 15 billion in trading volume for NFTs this year. We may hit 20 billion. If you, I know this is not comparing, kind of apples to apples, but if you look at all of the investment or trading, if you'd like, volume on ICOs in 2017, all the way through October of 2018, that was 20 billion as well. So we are actually experiencing another wave on investments into these creator economy projects that we're all working on. Do you guys see this as something that's going to go on long term? And what do you think about it?
Well, I've been thinking about this since you brought it up a couple of hours ago, and what's interesting about this to me is the first time around, it was the bottom rung of the stair step, or maybe step two or three. And this time, now that those early adopters have been able to benefit by their early investments, we are moving up the staircase with the quality of investment and quantity of investment in different projects. I still challenge that we're not quite here with integration into the real world with a lot of these things, but the investment that's coming in now by the big companies, we're starting to see like actual momentum in real world use cases, and I think that's what's exciting to me, because we're beyond just throwing money at two guys in a garage. Like, people have real legit ideas that are going to actually make a difference.
I also like the fact that we're raising the bar on the enforcement requirements from regulators, because when you form a company and there's a CEO and there's an investment, there's a team and a product and all these kinds of things, then the regulators can sort of easily go after the team, right, and sort of destroy it. And really what they do is they destroy a great deal of work that that team has produced. When you issue an NFT, there's no work. It's a platform that generates as many NFTs as you like, and whatever the functionality or whatever that the supposed attachment of that NFT to something, the point is that the regulators now have to go after individuals, right? That means that they have, it's probably an order of magnitude or two greater in terms of the enforcement efforts required to suppress these technologies, etc. So that's a little point of happiness for me.
I'm really excited to be in the space. Specifically, I am seeing a lot of exploration by larger, well-known corporations, anything ranging from Hasbro launching their first NFT this past week. I think that that's going to be huge for the industry, as well as the Disney Plus today announced that they would be doing NFTs for a special promotion if you sign up as a new subscriber. That's probably one of the biggest thing, and they're launching some very unique Disney collectibles in gold. So I'm really excited about that opportunity. So I see a lot of growth in the space, more speaking from a licensing perspective, the DeFi space, as well as, I think that that's pretty much, I wouldn't say maturing, but in comparison to the nascent nature of the licensing, it's just so exciting.
And what's really interesting to me is what the projects, like a Bored Apes or Pudgy Penguins or, Fame Ladies Squad and Crypto Pills, of course, which, we got to know a lot better a couple of weeks ago. What these projects actually do with the raise, right? Because you can actually have a wonderful NFT drop and end up with a couple $100 million, in essence, in the total value sold. But then what you do with that revenue that stayed inside the project is probably not all the revenues inside the project, because the community owns it in essence. What would you do with that to then create the next generation experiences for your NFT club or your NFT community or your NFT economy. And then how many of these projects will, go further to create more liquidity by issuing tokens, etc. So it's really, I think, at the very beginning, we know the money will flow into these projects because of the sort of an upswing in the market. And a lot of the money is maybe speculative money. A lot of the money was money that was stuck in areas where it could not earn a return, etc., just like with ICOs. But then what happens to that investment is really kind of interesting. Do you guys have any thoughts as to, have you seen anything that's being built that you think is very interesting with those initial raises?
I mean, Bored Apes Yacht Club is probably the best example right now that most people are familiar with. Anything from their agreement with Arizona Iced Tea to kind of a split off with the Bored Apes comic book to, the venues where you can meet exclusively to being sold in high-end auction houses, and ultimately allowing membership and now derivatives. So I'm really excited to see, some of these top leading people that are at the forefront really dominate the space from the beginning, from a DeFi perspective.
Awesome. I'll introduce Jeanette and Terry because they're definitely, they should chime in on this NFT stuff. Maybe start with Terry. Hi, Terry.
Hi, how are you? Sorry,
Excellent.
sorry I'm
Welcome.
late. We were celebrating. Misha Klein just
Did he
won
win?
Yep, he won.
Yay! I
So
voted for Misha.
thank you. Your vote
Well,
helped and retweeting it helped.
yay.
And so we really appreciate
He
that.
was
But
behind when I voted for him yesterday. Like the other person, the other artist was 49% and Misha was 40%. Tell us a little bit about what we were voting for so that everybody understands.
NFT NYC, I keep saying it backwards, so I have to say it slowly. Is going to be next week in New York, and it's a big conference for NFTs. And I mean, I want to say everyone will be there, although that's not physically possible. But um, if you're not there, most NFTs have somebody representing them there, and they're doing an award ceremony, and they've got, excuse me, several categories. So even though he's only been around for 2 months, it's really awesome that he won that vote. And yes, yesterday we were doing a grassroots campaign, messaging, retweeting, reaching out to people. Dima Buterin liked it, and then the votes would go up. So like as we reached out to people, so it was a lot of fun, but it's very exciting. And in my PTR is the new. He's doing a Halloween airdrop for people. So if you own a crypto pill, you'll get one of the Halloween collection. Um, and you'll have to just pay for the minting. So you have to pay to mint it, but otherwise there'll be different rarities and it's gonna be really exciting. So
So Scott, your crypto pill just went up in value thanks to my vote.
Yeah,
yes, it did.
about
Ta-da!
100 ETH, please.
You might have to wait a few more months, but we hope so.
So Terry,
Uh,
Yeah.
you've been like in the middle of this. Can you just walk us through? I was just talking how NFT drops basically are, going to be about the trading volumes at about 15 billion as we sit here today, and it's probably going to hit 20 before the end of the year. And all the ICOs actually, from like 2017 to the October of 2018, were tracking 20 billion of investments into those projects. So this is really kind of funding the next generation of media, entertainment, art, variety of projects. And can you just walk us through how some of these drops have worked? Because you've been now instrumental in several of them, in terms of community building. What is, how does one find out about it? How does it get minted? What does that mean? And then the second drop, et cetera, that you're describing. Maybe you can help us there.
Oh boy, that's a lot. So how people find out about them is a lot of it is word of mouth because there's several different sites, but there's not like one main place you can go to find out what's upcoming. There's an app called Nifty Drops. There's a blog. They'll send you. You can sign up for emails. You can go to OpenSea and see what's coming up. You can go to rarity.tools and see what's coming up. Although many times people pay for that. They charge, I should say, they charge for that. So if you have to pay to be included in their upcoming list of announcements. So a lot of it's word of mouth. One of the ones I got into really was a stealth launch called Mutant Cats, and that one was really interesting. It's a DAO based NFT, and if you bought the Mutant Cat and stake it, they took they took most of the proceeds from the initial sale and proceeds from the secondary sale, and they've been buying cool cats and bored apes, and they just bought another project. So it's definitely an interesting space. I'd say you have to do, if you're into cryptocurrency, you have to do your due diligence there. With NFTs, you have to even do more. There's an article I'm going to share with you, our blog called caughtin4k.org. And I think everybody should read it because that kind of tells you some of the ugly side of the NFTs. Because, like anything else in this world that's ever become popular, there's always people that are going to try and there's always going to be bad actors. But you have to really do your due diligence and look into the developers and who's producing it. But yeah, I mean, it's growing, it's not going to slow down. Um, and it's really fun. I mean, so what happens is if you can get in on a mint and you can mint for, 0.05 or to 0.08, and then the next day it's at, after it launches, there's different rarities, and immediately some people are making 3 to 10 ETH, like they did with Mechaverse, even sometimes higher. So it's very lucrative, but if you get into the wrong projects, sometimes they'll drop below the floor value. So it's there's definitely a learning curve there.
So I have a question, Terry.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've observed, it bothers me, which is some projects that I personally got burned by basically use the money mostly for marketing themselves to then make more money to then market themselves. And it's this circular thing. But I also think people have this cross partnership where they're each making money to then promote the other one to then give the money back. Like it's just this big, circular money exchange, and it doesn't actually provide usefulness. So where do you draw the line with what's useful versus what's promotional?
Some of that I'm just finding out. And I've learned a lot. Like I learned a lot. I got involved in an NFT project. Everybody was hyping and I did not follow my own. I FOMO'd in and I jumped in because everyone was saying it was called Rich the Kid. It was a celebrity and they were going to be giving away Maseratis and Gucci, all this stuff. And I didn't get into it for that, but I was like, oh, it sounds really popular. It should do well, even if it's a quick flip. Even if I buy six and, I turn around and sell them for double, over the next week, which I would never do with my crypto pills, but there's different strategies with different projects, just like with crypto. But he didn't follow through. He didn't do anything he said he was going to do. And now they're literally worth 0.001. Like it went from 0.09 to 0.001. So I think you have to be careful. And when there's a lot of hype behind some of the celebrity stuff, like why are you really, you have to ask yourself what kind of investor you are. I think we talked about this a little bit before. Are you a short-term investor or are you a long-term investor? If you're a short-term investor and you're willing to take the risk with some of these projects and hope that you make money on the next one, then go ahead and get in on the ones with all the hype, but just be careful and be prepared to get out. But I just think more due diligence needs to be done, and I think that um, just as a community, we need to work together and just kind of share our experiences so that we can help each other navigate because it is a new space. Even though NFTs have been around for a little while, it is new space for most of us. So I think that that's really important.
Can you guys hear me now?
Hi,
Yes.
Jeanette. You want to introduce
Hi.
yourself?
Oh, actually, I heard your intro and it was just great. But I wanted to follow on to what Terry was saying about there being some NFTs situations that are strong and some not so much. And I mean, like the variation is huge. This week we had somebody launch an NFT of photos of Donald Trump that they owned, and we also have NFTs going out to help the Dallas Symphony Orchestra stay in business. So it's just all over the place. But I think one of the things that you can look at is, there's a DAO underlying all of this stuff, and look in there and see who's doing the work. If it's just promotion, you're going to see just a handful of people doing a lot of talking and not a lot of community involvement. But I think when you see genuine community and people participating in the DAO and doing the work of the DAO to pay into ownership of this community, that's a good sign. And I think, Carlos, you've talked about that quite a bit. Oh, and also, they're talking a lot about Bollywood NFTs, and I know that's high on your list. So I'm bouncing it to you, Carlos.
It's very, very true. Bollywood is actually launching some very interesting promotions with some very large artists out there. As you can probably guess, they are huge consumers of media. So it's really exciting to see that, a global push from a whole nother country that, has had issues with crypto. But this is the new way for people to buy into crypto without buying crypto and not being familiar with it. And I think that we have to acknowledge that the future trend, is probably going to be that crypto is going to stay more for people in the financial and fintech institutions, and that's going to continue to grow. But the spaces that, NFTs are going to grow is going to be for the commercial masses, where somebody can just buy from a credit card. And I'm really excited just to see, the continuation of the growth of the space. Terry, congratulations. That is a huge achievement. I really wish I could make it out there to NFT NYC, and I probably messed that up as well. But that being said, I do want to congratulate you guys on that huge achievement.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to introduce Annie. Hi, Annie. Oh,
Hi, how are you?
good, good. Well,
Thank you. Thank you for having me. So my name is Ani. I am focused on blockchain education and training for African women in technology. We've been teaching it for over 5 years now. Um, NFTs are fairly new for a lot of the people that are in the market that we specialize in. So it's interesting to see how it's taking off and the many uses that's coming out as time develops. I'm in several organizations that will probably be launching pretty soon. So it'll just be a matter of time to see how those usage go into play on the continent. So that's my background. But outside of that, congratulations, Terry. So great projects as always, but congratulations on your success.
Thank you. Well, it's Misha's success, so We're just supporting him, but
Misha.
learning
Ani,
along.
there was. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, Misha's as Jeanette would say, the overnight success of 30 years of digital artistry around the globe.
That's right.
And it's the crypto pills are just beautiful.
Yeah, I think I did. I just want to add one more thing real quick, and it's something that I've learned, and I did not know this. I had no idea. Like I'm just a oblivious person. Like what I've learned from, and some of it came from that blog, thecotton4k.org that I shared. But apparently, people like if you see one of the things to look for is look for disproportionate numbers on things. Like if just because you see a Discord has 100,000 people in it, but their Twitter only, but they only have 1,000 active members or 500 active members, or Twitter has 100,000 people in there, but there's nobody talking in their Discord. Just be aware that I guess I did not know you can buy those things. Like you can buy Discord members, you can buy Twitter followers. I had no idea. So I know people say that that's one of the things they look for. I think you need to look a little deeper, I guess is where I'm going with that.
I couldn't agree more, Terry, and that's actually something that me and Jeanette, discuss pretty frequently on these calls. Is right now you have to also be watching for bots. The reality is that bots can even move the floor, and what I mean by the floor is the lowest price. So it's just really important for everybody to be cognizant of the fact that you are dealing with technologists, and people who really know how to manipulate the space, anything from getting followers in all the different places to manipulating algorithms to their benefit. There is a lot of regulation that does need to be put in place that eventually will come into place, but right now we're at the infancy of this.
So this is where I jump in and say this is where we learn from the past, right? Penny stocks have been manipulated for 20, 30, 40 years now, and we have started to figure out how to stop people from artificially messing with the market. What I have seen, we do security reviews for a lot of different things, is that a bunch of brand new people think they know better than everybody who's been doing this for 30 years, and they get scammed all the same ways. Bots come in, the floor gets changed, like you just said. Their site gets hacked because they didn't take the time to understand that what we're building today is the third or fourth iteration of tech we've done for the last 30 or 40 years. And so as you're building this, make sure you take a minute and say, some of these things we just talked about. Am I about to partner with a company that's actually got human beings in it? Am I about to list in a place that I know has taken a little bit of the safety precautions that will result in safety of the people who want to participate? Or am I going on this brand new market that gave me a really good deal that all of a sudden the market goes away? Like, these just stop and check your FOMO, your project FOMO, your money spend, your mint, just to check in those things. Is this safe to do? Am I sure I'm working with the right people? Am I in the right place? Okay, these are all good. Okay, now let's give this a try. There are a lot of professionals in a lot of these rooms. Mariana surrounds herself by all these people, been there, done that, wear the scars, and it's really important to check in with some of those people once in a while.
Yeah, point well taken. I think everyone on this panel has been, building this marketplace for quite some time. Scott's been in it since, PayPal days, really. And Carlos has been in it, since Elevate days. And Eric and I have been working with a variety of companies for years now. Jeanette's been promoting blockchain space at CES, I don't know, 6 years ago, maybe. And so everyone on, Christian's been investing in it for like 20 years probably. So everybody here has been in this space for a long time, understands all the problems that we had with 2017 ICOs and IEOs and IDOs, and how this is now impacting DeFi and NFTs. But the things that Terry was mentioning about NFT launches, I think are so interesting right now, because you will see more of them. You will be in the rooms where these things are happening, and you may have her voice sort of in the back of your mind telling you, like, kind of guiding you through how to actually participate or not participate in a project. Terry, what are some of the best projects that you found? Like, clearly crypto pills, but like, what is it that resonates about some of these best ones to you?
I think what I think is best and what you think is best is different. I really like finding, for me personally, I look for good artists. Um, I'm a more of a long-term investor, and like one of the collections that I got into, I just happened to stumble across them, and I'm familiar with some of the artists, is the Board Apes Ladies Collective, and it's several great artists that came together and worked with Board Apes and got a grant to form this Board Apes Ladies Collective. And each month there'll be 12 different artists, and four of the art they'll be all female, except they're allowing up to four a month to be male or female identifying. And they'll have, each of the 12 will have 12 available prints that they come up with. So they'll take an existing board ape. Here, I'll show you one of mine. And then they'll put their own artistic spin on it, and then it'll mint once a month. So the Genesis collection just happened, and let me see. This was the first one that I got. and it's like Art Jedi, and I mean they're really well-known artists, especially on in this space on the Clubhouse platform. So I like good art, good artists. I like to support people. There's other people who are and really they like I personally I don't get the doodles thing. Like I just don't. I know it's selling for a lot of money, but I just don't get it. So like I try and buy things that I can relate to, and I think all of us do.
You would.
Mariana,
Oh, go ahead,
oh,
Jen.
I ran across in Forbes magazine just a few days ago. There's a big article about the potential of NFTs to improve diversity, equity, and inclusion, both from the standpoint of representation, from the standpoint of wealth transfer, from a lot of different standpoints. And I was hoping that some folks on the panel today might be interested in chiming in on.
Well, I think Terry did introduce me to one of the Board Apes Ladies Club members, who is, driving sort of the artistry behind it. And I invited her to speak at the salon today, but I couldn't get in touch with her. It's very hard to deal with some of these projects where everyone is anonymous, and we want to support them, we want to showcase them, we want the community to know about them, we want to help them get to the next level. So how do we go about that with all these anonymous projects?
I mean, I think that's very interesting too, is the fact that there are a lot of people that go anonymous because they feel like it would just sell better for them as women, that it will just sell better without any hindrances. I think that the biggest factor is that people do reach out once they see that you have an interest in it and that you've helped promote or you've helped mention or you've hosted rooms on projects. I think that so long as we are that we are supporting the community always goes and reaches out to the people that they see that are the most interested in it. People have approached me just based on some of the topics that we've covered. And whenever they do, and if it's something that I do like and I do like the artist's work, I will gladly put it out to the community that I'm in just to talk about it. There is one artist that's based in Ghana, Kofi, and I really like his work. I love Mask. So his highlight was, of course, featured on um, art that is specific to 3D and mass. And of course, I will promote that and put that information out to whoever's interested in NFT. That is the person that I'll mention and say, if you have an interest in art, this is a person that you should look at. He's based in Ghana. That conversation is strictly based on us and how we help to promote the community overall. I think that with anonymous people, they will approach you on other channels. And if they want to stay anonymous, that's fine. But again, it has to be something that is being approached to us directly. Welcome, Ali. Thanks for coming up.
Hey, Annie.
And on that, I just want to say real quickly is that a lot of the artists are getting ready for the conference next week in New York City, like packing up and getting ready to go to their, exhibits and all their obligations, whether they're speaking. So I think this week is probably a tough week to reach some of them.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, because we had also Justin's son on the virtual Infiom Salon today, and he is preparing even a larger conference in Miami in November, at the end of November, with Art Basel and basically NFTs, DeFi, DAOs, and I don't even know how many different areas of Miami are going to be involved, but it's one of the largest conferences I've seen. So between New York this week and Miami 5 weeks from now,
Right.
we're
There,
losing our audience here in terms of trying to even help them.
yeah, there's two things in Miami actually. There's D Central first, and then it kind of overlaps with Art Basel. So there's a lot going on for sure.
I have to run, but I want to make one comment real quick on the staying anonymous comment a few seconds ago, which is interacting in the real world. If your project is big enough where you want to interact with real brands, you can't be anonymous anymore. That's not a thing because of terrorist financing and all these things. So if you're going to run a project and you want to be anonymous, you must find somebody who's willing to be that unanonymous person, or have a company set up in the right place where you have a representative who is willing to be this relationship. Some of the people behind the scenes, of course, can stay unnamed, but a project cannot be anonymous forever and interact with the real world.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
I
that's
think the
true.
key there. Oh, sorry, Terry, go for it. Did you want to speak? Oh, yeah, I think the key there, being one of those people that actually help these creators that want to remain anonymous is um, they can remain so. I think there's just a selective few individuals, such as their accountants, their attorneys, that they have to dox themselves to. But for the most part, I think it is possible, and you can have a registered agent, or you can have somebody else that gets into these contractual agreements with them without them having to disclose their personal details to the public.
Yeah, I agree, and that's something people should think about how they want to structure that, because that is the right way to do it. And my company, because we're publicly traded, we can only do business with people who will dox themselves. You have to tell us what your actual name is, because of insurance reasons and liability reasons and contractual reasons. And if you have never set up an entity or hired a lawyer or any of that yet, do that.
I'll just add to that that there are jurisdictions in the world like Luxembourg, for example, where you can create a legal entity where the shareholders are not where they are anonymous, where even the state doesn't know who the shareholders are, right? So for situations where the participants want to remain anonymous, it is possible to do it from a legal perspective. And once you have an entity in Luxembourg or anywhere else, then you can do business across country borders. So that's to some extent it's a non-issue.
Yep. Thanks, guys. I'll see you at the next one.
Thanks, Scott. So there was a big fund that was raised, just 100 million to invest in NFT projects. The fund is actually backed by Andreessen Horowitz as well. Um, I had calls with fund of funds in the hedge fund category that are looking to create variety of funds with a variety of different sort of risk tolerance levels in the NFT space and DeFi spaces. Are you guys seeing that, a lot of the institutional money, once you're in a hedge fund or, at that level, a lot of the money is actually institutional money. Do you feel that institutional money is going to be chasing the NFT space, within a foreseeable future? I think it will, but I'm just asking the rest of you.
I think there's no question about it. I know that even family offices are now starting to explore it. The reality is that NFTs right now are still in a nascent industry, and before we start to see any IPOs or anything in the future, which we probably will see from some of these companies, which sounds really crazy to think about from now, just the future of it. Definitely going to see huge investments by these venture capital funds. They already are investing, and I think that your newsletter highlights that very well.
Well, any company that has a risk management officer and that has a legal team is going to have a very difficult time justifying investing in NFTs, just like they have had a difficulty justifying investments in even just Bitcoin, right? So there's huge pools of money out there that are still sitting on the sidelines, have not managed to come onto Bitcoin, even though there are very prominent names in the investment industry that have adopted it. So I think it's coming. It may take a while though.
But that's just it. This is what it's really interesting about all of this is that we were talking about more liquidity in the market and more kind of money chasing the space. Even with 2017 ICOs, there are these pockets of money that were stuck in a variety of jurisdictions where they couldn't earn an ROI, they couldn't take it out of the jurisdiction, they couldn't invest in foreign investments, etc. And all that money somehow found its way into the ICOs, or most of that money, right? So the liquidity got created before DeFi, before NFTs. There was a flow of capital into the blockchain space through the initial, raises. And now with DeFi and with the ability to stake and yield farm and, do all these, fantastic new things with it and invest in NFTs, I just don't think it's as much of a regulatory issue at this point, because the regulators are going to have a very tough time regulating a bunch of art sales. This is really no longer currency. It's not a stock. It's not a clear cut security. These are basically art projects and entertainment companies and gaming companies. And I feel that that capital is still available and clearly still circulating based on what Terry just said. People are investing into a minting, and then they get 5x, 10x, whatever they get in the next, day to 30 days. So that capital, there's some of that capital that's still chasing these deals, and there are more and more deals every day, and we're seeing a volume, kind of up to the ICO volume in a year versus, several years. So I feel that um, there's a lot more going to happen here with NFTs and funds very quickly, more so than we ever thought, um, because of what's going on with the flow of capital into the space.
Here's another thought, maybe as not exactly as a counterpoint, but just as an addendum, maybe. Uh, Bitcoin has created a tremendous amount of wealth, and some of that wealth can obviously easily find its way into this new class. So there's a distinction to be made when we say institutional, whether we mean sort of old dinosaur money, or institutions that are already within the ecosystem that can sort of take profits from Bitcoin to buy these things. I don't think we have really any idea what that looks like.
I think it's exciting, and I agree. We don't have a clear picture yet, but we definitely have the Visas of the world who have already made large purchases. I know, that there are other credit cards that are actively looking at similar plays. So that being said, I totally agree with you, but I can definitely see a large amount of institutional money coming in.
And just to back up what you're saying, Visa is so active that within Africa, they've made it a specific purpose to search out a lot of the NFT creators and anyone that's creating a platform that has any mention of NFT right now. So it is a huge play for them. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, so I mean, you guys are actually pointing out things that I haven't thought of. Eric saying, that there is basically this opportunity that the original capital that went into crypto space, especially Bitcoin, Ethereum, some of these, very stable protocols, that capital has shown tremendous return on investment already over the last decade. And so that some of that additional created capital in the system is now going after NFTs. And then what Ani and Carlos are saying is not only the institutional investments like the banks and hedge funds and we're not at the pension fund level yet, but family offices, etc., but also large corporations that are feeling the FOMO of being left out, like Visas of the world, PayPal's, and then even brands, Budweiser's, et cetera, et cetera. So we're seeing additional capital flowing way beyond what we've seen, back in 2017, 18, et cetera. Yeah, this is really fast. We were hoping for this to happen, and we thought it was going to happen with the layer one and maybe even layer two protocols, but it's happening with these applications on top of the protocols.
Yeah,
What do you think?
there is a lot of dinosaur money coming in. I mean, look at Michael Saylor, sort of the poster boy for that, right? So he's helping to create that FOMO, and I think from where I stand, I can see some of those some of that deal flow and some of the interest. So there's definitely money coming in, and because of the nature of the fixed supply, that just basically creates more wealth. So it's interesting.
And then
I
the
mean,
final frontier here is like the play to earn games, right? So in our newsletter, we talk about some of the major DeFi founders. So this is to Eric's point that, here are people who have made quite a bit of return in a probably very short period of time, because DeFi really sort of expanded very quickly in 2020. They're now backing play to earn game that they think is going to be the next Flappy Bird, or one of the leaders in the marketplace. So these play to earn games are really kind of restructures of financial opportunities for the entire world, for all of the people in different countries around the globe that may not be earning up to their potential, can now participate in these nascent economies in the play to earn, or super world would say play to live space. Do you see that that's also going to be very kind of important in the next quarter or two?
I can speak to that a little bit. I don't know if you were directing that to somebody. Sorry, my boss called, so I had to take the call.
No,
I do
Terry,
actually have to
please
say something.
speak up.
So, Axie Infinity is an example of what you're talking about, and I know several people who own, um, or have bought into Axie, both in the crypto and buying the actual NFTs. And what they do is they create scholarship programs. And I could actually probably set you up if you wanted to just interview these people or talk to them and find out how it works. But
Yes.
they have bought several Axies. And then what they do is they have people in the Philippines, the Manila, in some in Africa, areas of Brazil, and they play these games and they earn these tokens, and then the person managing them, like my friend Frank, for instance, he pays them every other week from what they earn. And it's all transparent because they see what they're earning. They see what, based on playing these games, what they're earning. And in some cases, it equates to like $15 to $30 a day. And in a country like Thailand, that's a lot of money. Or I'm sorry, it might, maybe even if it's a week, I don't quote me on that. It's per axie, and you need so many axes to play it, the thing. So I'm not an expert in the topic, but I think that's where you're going with that. And definitely people, it's creating opportunities for people to make money. It's a win-win on both sides. So if that
Absolutely.
helps.
I think I'd love to meet your friend Frank, but yeah, I'm aware of a couple of companies that do this as well. One is actually backed by Andreessen Horowitz. So this is actually, it's so funny because here Frank is an amazing entrepreneur. He's helping people around the globe, get out of, poverty and into a space where they can afford, higher standards of living, which is what this is about. And then on top of that, Andreessen Horowitz, which is like institutional money, they raise a couple $1 billion, backs something similar to that. Then the institutional money, or what Eric was saying about Michael Saylor and everyone else, all of the big money, the walls of money follow in very quickly. It's not like Frank did this and then 2 years later, some venture fund who's like a fifth tier venture fund in Silicon Valley decided they're going to do it as well. This, like, the number one fund is already in it. So I feel that what we're seeing here, having been in innovation my whole career, we're seeing adoption that's literally speed of light across all of these different categories, and consumer adoption as well. Um, so, Ani, for you, because you're working on the African continent, and I worked with a company called Crowdforce back in 2018. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're in Nigeria. They were trying to create a banking system by using POS machines as sort of the local grocery mom and pop stores, so that a person can pay their installments for their vehicle, or their heating system, or any larger purchases through this app. And they had a relationship with three Pan-African banks that were allowing them to create this, distributed banking system. Are you seeing any adoption of these kinds of systems in Africa? And do you foresee that, what we're talking about, DeFi and NFTs, would speed that up?
I do see some of those adoptions right now, and it's funny you should mention that, specifically not to Nigeria, but Yellow Card is similar. I don't know if you're familiar with Yellow Card, and the way that they're allowing people to purchase crypto, which will, of course, translate over to NFT as well. Just because they're in that market. If you're not familiar with Yellow Card allows you to go to a physical store and purchase crypto for those that don't have access to the internet. And then from there, they're able to see their balances on any public place that gives them access into their wallets per se. So it gives them a paper exchange. So the same way that that's working now is what's going to happen over with the NFT space in terms of what people have access to. I do see some projects that are coming up now within that space where they're actually working with like record labels. Like Afrobeat is super popular right now. If you're in the clubs and you're hearing it, if you're in New York City, I know we hear everything, but in other parts of the world, Afrobeat is taking off. So what's happening with the NFT with music, they're starting to work more with the artists that I've seen. And then also with DeFi, there are certain projects that are happening. Now there's a project that just launched probably about 6 months ago that is strictly focused with NFT and also within the DeFi spaces. So I am seeing projects that are taking off, and even I am a co-founder on a lending protocol that's based in Kenya. So what's happening, of course, with the market is that you're having to basically educate the market in order for you to get there. There are those that are techie and they'll know it, they'll follow it, they'll know it more than anyone, no matter where they live in the world. But for, sorry about that phone call, for the most part, the community is having to be created by people like us that are going.
Real quick, sounds like she's having some connection issues. So I just wanted a quick. Are you ready again? Are you okay?
No, I'm okay. Sorry about that. The phone, Uber refused to just not.
She's getting a
Yeah,
phone call.
they tend to do that. I know
I've
what's
never
going
seen,
on.
yeah, I've never seen an Uber call me like 10.
So real quick, just to chime in, and then once they stop calling you, I think that it's really exciting in the entertainment music space. Perfect example is recently Rolling Stones put out a article mentioning that Quincy Jones and a bunch of other major players in the industry are investing in a platform called One Of, that's an NFT platform. So we're definitely going to see music in the space.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about One Off because I thought they did such a great talent management deals in the.
Yeah, just to I don't have much information yet, but the great news is that I do have a very close friend who's interviewing for the VP position over there, and currently looks like he's going to get that. So we can definitely talk to him in the future and bring him on.
Yes, it's an NFT platform, and I think they have a Lesso drop coming up, um, and bunch of other top tier urban artists. And a lot of EDM artists. So hip hop, EDM, and a bunch of games. And they've done a really good job signing up top tier talent to help them kind of bridge this world of NFTs with their music drops, which I think is basically if you're a talent today and you're about to distribute an album, why wouldn't you attach an NFT to that album? There's really no downside.
Couldn't agree more. You know, it's really exciting to see big players like that jump in the space. As if you're not familiar with Quincy Jones' career, he's definitely been one of the pioneers of the industry, which really shows that there will be a lot of weight thrown into this new technology, as well as the type of people that they are recruiting from very high level major labels that have those connections.
And what's really interesting, I feel, is that, everybody's so focused on NFTs right now, but meanwhile, DeFi money locked is just getting larger and larger by the day. Every protocol has now their own DeFi projects that are basically developing just in the last quarter. If you look at Solana DeFi platform, Goose FX, they're launching. They launched actually yesterday. They had an IDO on their own, on their own exchange, and they have an IEO scheduled right after that on a bunch of launch pads. So what I'm seeing now, is we're in the process of launching a token with one of my projects. There's a real combination between distributed exchange launch and traditional exchange launches. So an IDO and IEO almost simultaneously and coordinated. And sometimes these DeFi protocols launch their own decentralized exchange while they're launching their token and while they're launching their protocol. So it's really fascinating how quickly that's evolved. And, to Christian's point, I think that maybe we don't need this many tokens. We're having more and more tokens daily. So more tokens, more NFTs, a bit of a chaos. We had a presenter today with Luca, the CEO of Luca, who actually told us that they are trying to create order out of chaos and kind of do some sort of coordination between not just centralized exchanges, which there are a couple hundred top ones that they work with, but also decentralized exchanges like Uniswaps of the world, and many of these DEX is like a Goose Go FX for the Goose FX platform. I think they're trying to organize this space and create some sort of a trading opportunity for institutional trading. So this is where a lot more capital is coming in to optimize their trading across known platforms and exchanges and some of these new decentralized platforms and exchanges. So the rails are being created for, I would say, even larger pools of money to enter this market as we speak. And I believe that, with every newsletter we send, we're just seeing acceleration at a breakneck speed at this point. It's hard to even manage the information with all of these experts that we have on our panels. But if you're in the market and or launching a venture in the market, this is the best time ever to be participating, both as someone who's part of the market or someone who's launching something in this market. And if you have any questions for us, feel free to raise your hand and we'll bring you to the stage. Anything you want to share with us, Terry? Any new projects that we should be on the lookout for?
Oh goodness, there's so many that are coming out.
So if we
I
want to do
wouldn't
the
want to pick
Board
one.
Apes, ladies club, do we have to join their Discord? Is that the best way to start?
Yeah, I would join their Discord, and then they've got some new stuff coming out. The next launch will be in a couple more weeks for the second minting,
And we
and
can
they've got some
enter then.
surprises. Yeah, I mean, but right now the prices are really good. Everyone's kind of focusing, everything goes in cycles. We all know this, right? So sometimes it's stock market, sometimes it's crypto, sometimes it's NFTs, and sometimes it's week to week. And so the crypto was mooning, so people kind of took their eye off NFTs for a little while. So and got liquidity to get back into stuff like Shiba and everything else that's kind of going crazy right now. So there's some you can still get in at a really good price, or you can wait some mints next month. But I would definitely recommend joining their Discord.
So you join their Discord and you can buy something today if you wanted to on OpenSea,
On
right?
OpenSea, right?
And then if you buy that, then will you be notified of their second drop, or how does that work?
Well, you see that when you buy an NFT, you're not really notified of anything. You kind of have to keep track and follow in the Discords. And so that's why some people get involved in 30, 40 Discords. I don't know how they do it, but some people are turning this into a full-time job and making money at it. So maybe that's how they do it. I have a full-time job and I just do all of my clubhouse, education and platform kind of on the side and NFTs. But you really need to be involved on Twitter and in their Discords to kind of either or. I don't know that you have to do both. There's more current information in the Discord because there's more people posting. Twitter, you have to rely on whoever you're following and how often that individual person is tweeting.
So it's quite a bit of work. You actually have to buy into the economy, and then you have to follow the economy. I believe at the end of the day, my take on this is that we're all buying access to people's attention. And, we have to be worthy of that access, right? So, whatever venture you're starting in this space, you should ask yourself, why is this worthy someone's attention? Why would this person, you know, Mariana or Carlos or Eric or Terry or Annie or Jeanette or Christian, why would they spend time paying attention to my community and my drop and what I'm doing versus some other community? That's really where this is heading. And so I know we had some questions. We ran out of time today, but we have a whole nother event next Tuesday that Jeanette moderates, that's Ask Us About NFTs, DeFi, and DAOs. We have all these amazing presenters joining us there. So come back, remember your questions. You can back channel them to me and I'll ask them for you at the beginning, or you can come in and ask them at the beginning of the Tuesday session. We also have every week we do these 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time rooms on how to create unicorns with NFTs, DeFis, and DAOs. And we invite all of our presenters and all of our speakers, weekly speakers, to these sessions. So join us if you can next week again. Thank you for joining us today. And I want to thank all of the panel. I've learned so much from you guys, and it was like the best birthday present. So thank you all for being here today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Thanks
Thank,
again. Happy birthday,
Wait, it's
Mariana.
your
thank you.
birthday? Happy
Happy
birthday.
Yay.
birthday.
Thank you for
Happy
Happy
coming.
birthday.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Okay.
Thank you. See you guys next week.
All right.
Bye.
Great. Thank
Bye.
Bye.